I've got the spots, the sickness. There's the twins in my brain.
The big three are back in the world of cyclo-cross. Or maybe it's better to talk about the one. Mathieu van der Poel has crushed the field in his first 4 races. He conquered Herentals, caused a storm in Mol, flew over the Seine in Antwerpen and made it a phenomenal mudfest in Gavere. Welcome to a new episode of Cross is Boss. And welcome to you as well, Dieter. It's been a while since the two of us sat together to talk about cyclocross. Have you enjoyed the return of the big three?
It's a bit, double, because it's amazing to see an athlete like Van der Poel destroying courses close to perfection. But it also made the races more boring. I think Wout van Aert always makes the races a bit more exciting when he's riding against none of the big three. But Van der Poel doesn't really bother to make the race exciting. He just rides away whenever he can. So that's
exactly.
Yeah.
The problem is, a lot of people say, when Van der Poel or the big three in general join the cyclocross riders, the races get less attractive. That means you agree with that, except for the fact that it's the fault of Mathieu van der Poel.
Yeah, the races are less exciting. So yeah, it's true.
Maybe a difficult question. Do you prefer it without them or with them?
I think without them, to be honest. If we had a Van Aert and Pidcock in perfect shape, I think they could battle with Van der Poel, then it would be more fun. But the races I saw the last 2 weeks, like after 40 minutes, I thought it's still going. It felt like the race was on for like 1.5 hours. But the races before the big three joined were always exciting races. We saw like a lot of 5 different World Cup winners or something. So yeah, that was great. So yeah, I think that was better, to be honest.
It was quite of an exceptional season in the World Cup, I think, without Van der Poel and Van Aert. But yeah, you already mentioned it. Wout van Aert, he doesn't really focus on this winter. And then there's also Tom Pidcock, but he has to start on start line. What is it, 4 or even 5?
4, yeah.
Those two things, they make it a little hard to say how good Mathieu van der Poel really is. But what do you think of his level? Is it really that exceptional?
I think it's pretty exceptional. But for example, in Gavere, a bit further in the race, when Pidcock's bad luck ended, he rode a lap 1 second faster than Van der Poel's fastest lap. So that also says a lot about Pidcock. I mean, he needs to maintain it for a whole race, but that lap already says a lot. But yeah, Pidcock did 1 cross training before his first race. Van Aert did like 2. And Van der Poel has been in Spain. He started his off season a lot earlier, so he started this so he could start his training again earlier. I think it's a combination of a very good Van der Poel and a less good Pidcock and Van Aert.
Well, let's go back to the start of to the real return of the big three last week. I think it was in Mol when we saw the first battle between Van Aert and Van der Poel. What were your expectations before the race?
We saw, was it Essen was Van Aert's return? Yeah. We saw he wasn't great. It was like a D field, and Van Aert didn't win like with such power that you thought, he can battle with Van der Poel. And Van der Poel won Herentals in a ridiculous way. He basically flew up the skiberg the first time. So I think everybody already had a feeling that Van der Poel was going to destroy Wout van Aert in Mol.
Only 10 riders were able to reach the finish line in Mol. Okay, the course is quite short for a cyclocross race there, but 10 riders. That also says something about the speed of Mathieu van der Poel. It was incredible.
Yeah, like, and good riders, OTL'd. Like, I think the last one was Sander de Vet. I think he's how do you say it? Elite zonder contract. Zonder contract. I don't know
Yeah,
how you
but
say it.
even I think Tom Mewsen had to battle to reach the finish line.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
he's not the rider he used to be anymore, but it's
Mhm.
still Tom Mewsen.
Yeah, exactly.
It's insane.
He should have been. I read that he actually should have been taken out, but he ignored the steward and he rode on and still finished 10th.
Are you kind of disappointed by the level of Wout van Aert?
I think he said it that he trained less, and it was true. So yeah, it's what he expected himself. I think after the classic season, if Van der Poel beats Van Aert again, then if I am Van Aert, I'm going to have a very hard think about what I've done in the cross season. But for now, we can't say anything about that yet. If Van Aert now has the ability to battle with Van der Poel in Vlaanderen, great decision. If he hasn't,
But you have to say, what he did last year was the other way around. Wout van Aert was at a very good level. He was really strong, did a lot of races, and then he missed the final punch in the classics. So maybe that's something we need to keep in mind and talk about it again in a few months. The day
exactly.
after Mol, both Van Aert and Van der Poel went to Antwerp for the World Cup. I was there, and yeah, I witnessed something I've never seen, I think. Mathieu van der Poel was doing the reckon of the course. He did like 3 laps or something. But the difference between the reckon of Van der Poel and all the others, that was insane to see. He was like flying through the sand 5 kilometers an hour faster than everyone else. And yeah, in the race, we need to say it. He had some bad luck at the start, but thank God he had some bad luck.
Yeah, yeah. Now he rode away in lap 2 or something. Otherwise, it would have been right from the start. Yeah, he shot out of his pedal at the start. But then, like the part when they ride next to the sea, in one lap, I think the second lap, he just rode straight through the sea. He passed like 10 guys. He rode
And there was
50
a
meters
small uphill
further through.
section in the sand that he
Yeah,
was flying over it like no one
yeah,
else.
exactly. Like 50 meters further than other guys, I think, without exaggerating. It's, yeah, crazy.
Do you think this is the best Mathieu van der Poel you've ever seen as a cyclocross racer?
I I think that's possible, yeah. And I also heard in the Live Slow Ride Fast podcast, and I already saw it during crosses too. He did a lot of more strength training. And during cross races, I also saw that, like, one, he's very lean, and two, his muscles in his legs are, yeah, they show a lot more. So I think due to that strength training, he has a lot more muscles, and that's exactly what you need in cross races, short accelerations. So buckle up next year if Van der Poel's attack if Van der Poel attacks on the Poggio or the Quaremont.
I have to admit, I've been thinking about it when I was in Antwerpen. I thought about it after Gavere again. Yeah, these performances as a cyclocross rider, it may be the best cyclocross performance I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's. I also heard in a podcast, Sven Nys and Niels Albert were there in the Play Sports podcast, I think,
Mhm.
and they were comparing themselves with Peak van der Poel, and they also said we wouldn't be able to follow him, and that's Sven Nys and Niels Albert saying that. Sven Nys is like the biggest legacy everyone has in cross. So if they even say that, yeah, they know it better than me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wout van Aert, he had a decent start in Antwerpen. He was like position 5 or 6, I think.
Mhm.
Mathieu van der Poel was 20 places behind him, but he didn't care to take the lead to push Van der Poel to come back. He just waits. He waited for him to get back, and then Van der Poel attacks, and he didn't even try to chase him. That says a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's the best decision. Yesterday in Gavere, we saw Van Aert trying to follow Van der Poel. And I've never seen Van Aert's face that red, I think. He almost blew up the Iserbiet. No, was it the second group was Van der Haar and
Nieuwenhuis.
Nunes, yeah. They almost caught up to Van Aert because he blew up so hard trying to follow Van der Poel. So yeah,
He said it
it's a
himself
smart.
afterwards, after the race.
Yeah,
He said his coach told him, yeah, try to follow Mathieu for one lap, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah, he tried to do it half a lap, and he got burned. I don't think we'll see it again soon in any other race. Wout van Aert chasing Van der Poel or going
I
over the limit like that. Wasn't
Niels
smart to do.
Albert Niels Albert said that Kokzijde was a course where he thinks Van Aert can battle with Van der Poel, and I think I have to agree. Kokzijde is a course that suits Van Aert very good. I think it was his first big win. I think his first World Cup win, if
Yeah,
I'm
Van Aert has
not
done
wrong.
several good performances
Yeah,
there. I remember him. He got beaten by Sven Nys, the old Sven Nys against the very
yeah,
young
yeah,
Wout
yeah.
van Aert in a head-to-head fight. But remember the question. We'll get back to that at the end of this episode. Third place in Antwerpen went to Eli Iserbyt,
Mhm.
and in my opinion, we need to give the guy some credits. What Iserbyt has done this season, he has been racing almost every single cyclocross race you can do, and he did so at a pretty high level.
Yeah, that's true. I think also in Zolder today, he could battle with Van Aert. I think Van Aert was playing it a bit, yeah, to make it exciting. But still, yeah, he's the man of the cross season. Eli Iserbyt, yeah, how many races has he done? Like 20 or something. So yeah, that deserves some respect. Yeah, definitely.
And thanks to that, thanks to not skipping any races, yeah, he's like battling for the three big classifications. I think he's pretty much everywhere in the lead except for X2O maybe, where Lars van der Haar is in the lead, but is a couple of seconds behind him. Anyway, kudos to Eli Iserbyt. Boxing Day in Gavere. What a tough course.
Yeah,
It may be one of
uh,
the toughest of the season.
yeah. I think after Koppenberg, it was the toughest course this season. And like the long climb, which normally they can ride up the whole climb, they had to run like 75% of it, which made it a Wout van Aert part. But even
Yeah,
being
but
it a Wout van Aert part, he still
that's
blew up trying
something
to follow.
people say too often, I think. Yeah, it's a course where you have to run for a pretty long time, and then they make it a Wout van Aert course, but that doesn't mean Mathieu van der Poel is running slowly. He's
No,
running fast too.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, on the uphill running section, I think Van Aert is better than Van der Poel relatively. But with the difference in form, I think Van der Poel is still at the moment at least as good.
Mathieu, he said it's easier to ride on your own on such a hard and muddy course. Do you agree with that? Why is that for people that don't really follow cyclocross? Why is it better to ride alone?
I think first of all, Mathieu van der Poel is such technical god. He's able to find his own lines. Other people might find it nice that someone with a good technique is riding in front of them so they can follow their lines, but Van der Poel doesn't need that. So it's more like Van der Poel is a bit irritated by others taking bad lines, I think, because he's just so good on himself. I don't think a lot of people have the same thought.
I saw a nice stat by Jonas Creteur. He said Gavere was the slowest race Mathieu van der Poel has ever won in his career.
That no Koppenberg has ever been slower than he won is. Yeah, but he didn't win a lot of Koppenbergs. Probably that's the reason.
And when talking about speed, the average speed of Mathieu van der Poel in Antwerpen, 27 kilometers an hour.
With a lot of sense. So yeah, that's if you do that on like a race bike, that's already pretty decent. And to do that on a cross bike with such a bad start, with all the traffic, yeah.
You already mentioned Tom Pidcock. Do you think if Pidcock was on the first line or second line to start, do you think he would have been able to follow Mathieu van der Poel?
I think for a couple of laps that I don't think, or maybe like 1 lap, 2 laps, but not the whole race. But put Gavere a month later, and I think Pidcock will be pretty close to Van der Poel. But I don't think at the moment, like the guy is flying. So yeah.
I've been surprised several times this season by Joris Nieuwenhuis.
Yeah.
But he was battling for third place in Gavere as well. Was that still a surprise to you?
No, he surprised me. Yeah, he's a strange guy. Jimenez. First, I had big expectations last year. I even betted on him to finish top 3 in Namen. It was super high odds. I had a pretty big stake on it, so it was like for a lot of money, and he finished 4th. So I was pretty bummed by that. So I had even more expectations this year because he did a lot of specific cross training. He didn't do that last year. He even still rode the Vuelta at the end of the season. But yeah, it's such a level like Val di Sole, he rode away literally after 5 seconds and he soloed the whole race on such a technical course. Well, I think I was thinking about Taborg. Imagine it's in snow. Van der Poel has been pretty bad at snow courses.
Remember Val di Sole last year? That was the worst performance of Mathieu van der Poel's season, I think, last year. Anyway, there was one moment in Gavere where Mathieu van der Poel he bumped into the guy from Costa Rica, Felipe Nystrom. Of course, the speed of Van der Poel is extremely high. That makes that a lot of riders get lapped. After the race, Felipe Nystrom, he was in tears. The guy did a crowdfunding, I think, to be able to come to Europe and race over here. But then the cyclocross god, he got punched by him because he was in the way taking pictures with fans. And after the race, they did an interview with the guy. He was almost crying. He wanted to apologize to Mathieu van der Poel. What do you think about that?
First of all, get rid of the 80% rule, improve that. So today in Zolder, we also saw it. I think it was with Van Empel, a girl almost crashed her out in the last descent. And second of all, was a mistake by Nystrom. But he didn't do it on purpose. Van der Poel also said things like that happen. And then I see people saying Van der Poel is aggressive, etc. The guy was just trying not to crash. He almost got a bike in his face. He's riding 35 km an hour through a mud section. He wasn't
in
aggressive.
My opinion, you can't blame anyone. You can't blame Van der Poel.
Yeah, exactly.
He's in the lead. He wants to have the right track. You can't blame Nystrom either. He's spreading the love among the fans. The fans love him as well. So, I think case closed. No problem.
Yeah, if there's anyone to blame, it's the 80% rule, which has proven to be so bad a lot of times, and it's nothing changes. But I don't think Nystrom or Van der Poel need to be called out or something. I agree with that.
The women's race was pretty interesting as well. Puk Pieterse took her first win of the season, first World Cup win. Were you surprised by the fact that Pieterse hadn't won a World Cup race yet this season?
Well, she started her season right after a very big mountain bike season. She rode the American World Cup, then took some rest, I think. And after rest, yeah, you can't be on your best level again. And we saw, I think, the worst Pieterse in the field we have seen for a pretty long time. So she just needed time to get that first victory, and it came earlier than I expected, to be honest. I didn't expect her to already win in Gavere. Looking at her form in the first races after a break, I didn't. If anyone was going to win that, if it wasn't Van Empel, I would have expected it to be Brandt or Alvarado. So props
The
to,
amount of top riders in the women's races is getting bigger and bigger, and that's a
yeah,
really nice thing to see. You have Alvarado winning races. Van Empel is Van Empel. Lucinda Brand is back. Puk Pieterse is winning races again, so
and you can
it's
also
it's getting
put
interesting again.
And you can also put Sheeran van Andro in form. You can also put her. So you have like
Well,
5 women who can
my
all
next
all
question
win the
was
race.
my next question was about Shirin van Anrooy. She
Yeah.
abandoned the race in Gavere.
Mhm.
Apparently, she crashed on training and broke a rib. So that means she won't be at the start of the coming races. Do you think she will be able to get back to the best level? Um, I think she will be racing in Tabor, the World Championships. Is it still possible?
First of all, huge respect to race 3 cross races with a broken rib without even realizing it.
And
Like
such a hard ones.
how high of a pain level can you have? Insane. And then I think it's possible. Tabor is in beginning of February. It's more than a month. I think her legs weren't the problem. She had a lot of bad luck and not the best technique.
She has one
Uh,
big problem, I think. She doesn't have the best start in races.
Also, yeah, which is pretty strange because she has a lot of power. So does she do something wrong in like the warming up or something that she can't go deep from the start? Yeah, I don't really understand that, to be honest.
Also, Shirin is still under 23, I think.
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
know in which category she would race in Tabor, but
Yeah,
let's not forget how young she is. And
she's
what she
going
will.
to race elite in Tabor. She already
All
made
right.
the thing in UC. She demanded it already.
Then she needs to be top level for sure. Um, Remember the question I was talking about? Mathieu van der Poel, he has 14 cyclocross races on his schedule. Do you expect him to win all 14 races?
Hmm. I think Van der Poel is when he's so good. Sometimes he's getting bored mid race, and I see it happening. To be honest, that he crashes so hard somewhere because of being bored that he loses that race. We've seen that a lot in the past, to be honest. And Van Aert is also getting better. I think each race you can see Van Aert getting better. So I think he is going to get 13 out of 14, and he's going to lose 1 race.
To Wout van Aert or to
Yeah,
Tom Pidcock or
that's also
Eli
possible.
Iserit?
No, no. But there's no really technical course which is very
Well,
suited to
you were
Pidcock
talking
coming, I
about
think.
Coxede. You were talking about Coxede, where
Mhm.
the chances of Wout van Aert might be bigger. But what about Zonhoven? That's the race I had in mind.
That's suited more to Van der Poel, I think. If in if relatively to Van
Last
Aert.
year we had a big fight there, and Wout van Aert won.
Yeah, and if you look at Coxede, Van Aert won it with like almost 2 minutes on Van der Poel last year. So I think Coxede is a bit better for Van Aert. It's also you have longer hard sections in Zonhoven. It's a bit more explosive and it suits Van der Poel better, I think.
We should brainstorm about Tom Pidcock as well. What
Yeah.
about his races? Next Saturday there is Hulst. Maybe that's a course that suits him.
Yeah, that's a course that suits him. I think he won it last year or the year before
He
against
has won
Van
it.
Aert.
Yeah.
Yeah, in his rainbow jersey, so it has to be last year then. Yeah, and yeah, from the rest, there's no real technical course like Nama or Gavere, which is coming, I think. So that's a pity for Tom Pidcock. Or am I forgetting a race?
Yeah, he's going to Hamme as well, I think. Benidorm,
Ah,
maybe. Yeah.
it will be difficult then, I think, for Tom Pidcock. I think he's going to show a very good level and is going to stay in Van der Poel's wheel for a long time in some races, but he isn't going to win one, I think.
Dieter, this morning you told me you really wanted to mention Niels van der Putte. Can you
Yeah,
tell me why?
the guys, there are 5 races this week. On Tuesday, Gavere, Wednesday, Zolder, Thursday, Diegem, Friday, Loenhout, and Saturday, Hulst, and the guys riding all 5. So yeah, I don't know what he eats in the Christmas period, but hats off to to that guy.
Maybe you need something he eats for tomorrow.
Yeah,
Tomorrow you'll be at the start of the Turbo Cross as a
yeah.
part of the Telenet Super Prestige round in Diegem, together with a few other YouTubers, Belgian content creators, and also some ex-pro riders. You'll be racing 2 laps. What do you expect from it?
The field the level of the field is really high, to be honest. You have Sven van Torenhout, yeah, he has podiumed world championships, the current world champion duathlon, Sapotijn. You have ex-pros with the GCM presenters.
You
But also guys,
also have a certain domestic Yves de Castecker.
yeah, that isn't. I saw a cyclo-cross. He sent some clips about his cyclo-cross skills today. I think that's going to be all right to beat him tomorrow, to be honest.
So I should put my money on you to beat Yves. Is that the challenge? What if you lose? You've got to come up with something.
It's rough because I think Yves' form is better than mine at the moment. It's, to be honest, always has been better than mine. But I think my technique is better because I mountain bike a lot, and that's pretty similar to cross racing. And Yves only rides on the road, so I hope to beat him with my technique.
Well, I'm looking forward to hear all about it in the next Cross is Boss episode. Thank you for joining me, Dieter, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in again. Enjoy the next races and have a wonderful end of 2023. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I've got the spots, the sickness. There's the twins in my brain.